Imagine the scene. A dog, obstinate and determined, planted day after day in front of a simple storm manhole. What could be so fascinating as to hold this animal's attention for so long? The answer would shock an entire city and change lives forever. This isn't just another tale about canine loyalty. It's a story that will shake your convictions, question your faith in humanity, and at the same time restore it in ways you never thought possible. Get ready for a revelation that will challenge everything you thought you knew about compassion, courage, and the inexplicable bond between man and animal. When that manhole was finally opened, no one was prepared for what they would find. What would you do if you were there at that moment? How would he react to such a shocking secret hidden right under his feet in the darkness of a simple manhole? This story will take you to the depths of the city and the human soul. You won't believe what this dog discovered and how his tireless persistence led to one of the most amazing and exciting rescues ever recorded. Prepare your heart, for what you are about to witness will challenge your perception of the world and perhaps even change the way you view life going forward. 1. The Watchdog. On a seemingly ordinary street, a silent drama was unfolding before the eyes of an astonished community. A dog with golden fur and piercing eyes, soon nicknamed Guardian, became the epicenter of a mystery that defied all logic. Day after day, without failing once, this extraordinary animal stood tireless guard in front of a simple storm manhole. What started as a curiosity soon turned into a collective obsession. Villagers altered their daily routes just to witness the Guardian's unwavering devotion. Children whispered fantastic theories about subterranean monsters and lost treasures. Adults, in turn, debated heatedly about the possible motives behind this bizarre behavior. As the weeks turned into months, the dog's resolve not only remained intact, but seemed to intensify. His eyes, fixed on the metal grill, seemed to see beyond what human eyes could perceive. His snout occasionally sniffed the air, as if picking up unseen messages from a hidden world beneath his feet. The Guardian's dedication began to touch people in deep and unexpected ways. Many wondered, if a dog could show such loyalty to something we couldn't see, what did that say about our own lives and priorities? The animal's constant presence became a mirror, reflecting questions about commitment, faith, and the nature of unconditional love. As the enigma deepened, the community was transformed. Neighbors who once barely greeted each other now gathered daily, sharing theories and expressing concern for the Guardian's well-being. Volunteer groups began to spring up to make sure the dog had fresh water and food, although he rarely left his post for more than a few minutes. The vigilante dog phenomenon soon crossed the boundaries of the neighborhood. News of his incomprehensible devotion spread like wildfire, attracting onlookers, journalists, and even animal behaviorists. Everyone wanted to unravel the secret that kept the Guardian so doggedly focused on that particular point. At night, when the streets were deserted, some swore they heard the dog emitting low, melancholy howls, as if it were communicating with something or someone in the depths of the drainage system. These reports only served to further fuel speculation and increase the aura of mystery that surrounded the whole situation. As time passed, the Guardian became more than a local curiosity. He was now a living symbol of devotion and mystery. His constant presence reminded everyone that even in the modern and skeptical world, there are still enigmas capable of leaving us in awe and questioning our understanding of reality. 2. Mystery in the manhole. What was hidden in the bowels of that simple storm manhole? This question tormented the thoughts of an entire city, turning an ordinary piece of urban infrastructure into the epicenter of a mystery that defied all rational explanation. The manhole, once ignored by everyone, was now the scene of a silent drama that captured the imagination and ignited the deepest instincts of human curiosity. Theories began to proliferate like fungi after the rain. Some spoke of lost treasures, perhaps gold hidden during times of war, waiting to be rediscovered. Others, with a darker bent, whispered about secret tunnels used by criminals or spies, an underground network of secrets and dangers hidden deep beneath the feet of unsuspecting citizens. Those most sensitive to the paranormal swore they felt a strange energy emanating from the place. There was talk of portals to other dimensions, of spirits trapped between worlds, begging for deliverance. These theories gained traction on the quieter nights, when some claimed to hear whispers and wails coming from the depths, sounds as terrifying as they were fascinating. As the mystery deepened, the community transformed. Neighbors who once barely exchanged glances now spent hours debating their theories, forming unlikely alliances in the search for answers. Amateur investigation clubs sprang up overnight, equipped with everything from simple flashlights to sophisticated metal detectors and thermal cameras. The obsession with the manhole enigma knew no limits of age or background. Children exchanged stickers for information about the latest development in the case. Teenagers organized night vigils, hoping to capture some supernatural evidence on video. Adults sacrificed hours of sleep, lost in online forums, where every theory, no matter how absurd, was dissected with almost religious fervor. As the manhole's notoriety grew, it became a magnet for all kinds of eccentric personalities. Psychics offered contact sessions with the other side, right there on the sidewalk. Treasure hunters from all over the country converged on the small suburban street, equipped with old maps and state-of-the-art devices. Even reality TV celebrities about the paranormal have made appearances, vowing to reveal the truth on their TV shows. The impact on the local economy was staggering. Nearby cafes and restaurants have extended their opening hours to cater to the constant influx of onlookers. Shrewd residents began selling official souvenirs of the mystery manhole, from t-shirts to miniatures of the manhole itself. What was once an ordinary street now pulsated with frenetic energy 24 hours a day. Local officials, initially skeptical, were forced to react. Emergency meetings have been called to discuss how to deal with the growing turmoil. Some called for an official investigation, arguing that if there was something dangerous hiding there, it was the city's duty to find out. Others feared that opening the manhole would destroy the mystery that had brought so much life to the community. At the center of all this chaos, the manhole stood impassive, its rusty iron grate guarding secrets that seemed to defy reality itself. And by his side, ever vigilant, the guardian kept his tireless vigil, his eyes fixed as if they could penetrate the very fabric of the universe, feeding a mystery that continued to grow, engulfing the city in a maelstrom of speculation and wonder. 3. Growing curiosity, tension in the city reached feverish levels. What had started as a local curiosity now turned into a collective obsession that consumed every thought, every conversation. The mystery of the manhole and its canine guardian infiltrated the dreams of the residents, stalking them even in the waking hours. It was as if a spell had been cast on the community, and no one was immune to its hypnotic effects. In schools, teachers struggled to keep the attention of students who scribbled outlandish theories in their notebooks instead of paying attention to lessons. At companies, business meetings were interrupted by heated debates about the latest speculations. Even Sunday sermons in local churches began to incorporate metaphors about unwavering faith and hidden secrets, clearly inspired by the enigma that dominated the city. Curiosity knew no bounds. People of all ages and backgrounds crowded day and night around the culvert, like pilgrims in search of a divine revelation. Cell phone cameras were constantly pointed at the scene, hoping to capture any unusual movement, any signal that could unravel the mystery. Conspiracy theories bloomed like weeds after rain, Some spoke of secret government experiments conducted in the underground tunnels. Others swore that aliens had chosen that specific point to make contact with humanity. Each new theory, no matter how unreasonable, found fervent followers willing to defend it tooth and nail. The media did not take long to catch the trail of the story. Reporters from all over the country converged on the small town, turning it into the epicenter of a media frenzy. Live streaming vans parked permanently. Nearby, their satellite dishes pointed skyward like metal sentinels. Every hour, new exclusive revelations were announced, further fueling the audience's insatiable curiosity. On social networks, hashtags related to the mystery of the manhole dominated the trending topics. Digital influencers made live broadcasts, directly from the location, analyzing the guardian dog's every move and speculating about what could be hidden in the depths. Memes and video montages went viral, mixing humor and speculation in an irresistible cocktail of online entertainment. The collective obsession began to affect even the local economy. Hotels were crowded with curious tourists. Restaurants created themed dishes with names like Underground Mystery and Guardian's Feast. Street vendors made a fortune with improvised souvenirs, from t-shirts emblazoned with the image of the manhole to miniatures of the vigilant dog. Psychologists and sociologists came to the city to study the phenomenon, fascinated by how a simple mystery could unite and transform an entire community. There was talk about the power of the unknown, about the human need to believe in something greater than oneself. The manhole and its canine guardian had become a mirror, reflecting society's deepest desires, fears, and hopes. As the days passed, curiosity, instead of diminishing, only increased. Each discarded theory gave rise to two new ones. Each promise of revelation that did not materialize only intensified the desire for answers. It was as if the entire city was trapped in an endless loop of speculation and anticipation, spinning around that fixed spot on the sidewalk where a faithful dog stood guard over a secret that no one could unravel. 4. Summoned to the authorities. The public outcry reached proportions impossible to ignore. The city, once an insignificant blip on the map, now boiled like a pressure cooker ready to explode. The authorities, who had initially treated the matter with disdain, found themselves cornered by the relentless demand for action. The mayor, a man generally known for his unflinching calm, now sported deep, dark circles under his eyes, the result of sleepless nights debating how to handle the unprecedented situation. An emergency meeting was called in the hall of the city hall. The normally quiet building now pulsated with frenzied energy. City councillors, department heads, urban infrastructure experts, and even state and federal representatives crowded into the conference room, their voices rising in a cacophony of conflicting opinions and outlandish theories. Outside, a crowd was forming. Ordinary citizens, journalists eager for an exclusive, animal rights activists concerned about the welfare of the guardian dog. All demanded answers, action, anything that could quench the collective thirst for resolution. Posters were held, up with slogans such as "Open the manhole now" and "The truth is down there." Inside the meeting room, the debate heated up. The head of the Public Works Department argued vehemently against any intervention, citing structural risks and possible damage to the city's sewer network. "What if there are toxic gases down there?" he would ask, his face red with exasperation. "Are we willing to risk lives for the sake of a crazy dog?" Contrary to him, the police chief insisted that the situation had become a matter of public safety. "We can't control the crowds anymore," she warned, her voice charged with concern. "It's only a matter of time before someone takes drastic action on their own." The debate intensified by the minute. Proposals were launched and discarded in quick succession. Some suggested using robotic cameras to explore the manhole without opening it. Others advocated the idea of forcibly removing the dog, arguing that its presence was the catalyst for all the madness. Each suggestion was met with a mixture of fervent support and vehement opposition. Meanwhile, renowned scientists offered their services, proposing elaborate and expensive studies to investigate the phenomenon. Parapsychologists fought for a seat at the table, insisting that their skills were essential to unraveling the mystery. With each new proposal, the tension in the room increased, as did the volume of the voices. The mayor, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders, knew that any decision made there would define his legacy. Opening the manhole could reveal nothing but trash and standing water, turning the whole situation into an embarrassing farce. On the other hand, ignoring the public outcry could result in his political ouster and possibly riots in the streets. As the meeting dragged on, news leaked out to the crowd outside. Every shred of information was met with shouts of approval or deafening boos. The atmosphere was electric, charged with expectation and apprehension. Everyone felt that they were on the verge of something monumental, something that would forever change the course of the city's history. Finally, after hours of heated debate, the mayor stood up. Silence fell over the room like a heavy curtain. In a trembling but determined voice, he announced, "Tomorrow at noon, we will open the manhole." The statement was met with a mixture of enthusiastic applause and nervous gasps. Everyone knew that there was no turning back now. As the news spread like fire in dry straw, the entire city seemed to hold its breath. In less than 24 hours, the mystery that had consumed their lives for so long would finally be revealed. That night, few were able to sleep. The air was charged with anticipation, fear, and most of all, the heady feeling of being on the verge of a discovery that could change everything. 5. Opening day. The dawn brought with it an electric atmosphere, charged with expectation and fear. The city, normally peaceful, pulsated with a feverish energy never seen before. The streets, once deserted in the early hours of the morning, now teemed with an eager crowd that converged on the epicenter of mystery. The manhole, this portal to the unknown, awaited its moment of revelation. Media helicopters whizzed in the sky like giant flies, their cameras focused on the crux. TV. Crews from all over the world jostled for a privileged position, microphones in hand, ready to broadcast live what promised to be the event of the century. The internet was in an uproar, with millions of people around the globe glued to their screens, waiting for real-time updates. As noon approached, the tension reached almost unbearable levels. The air seemed to vibrate with 1,000 whispered theories, each one more fantastic than the other. Would this be the moment when humanity would finally make contact with extraterrestrial life, or perhaps the discovery of a long-forgotten subterranean civilization? The possibilities were as endless as they were terrifying. The Guardian, our faithful watchdog, remained at his post, seemingly oblivious to the chaos that surrounded him. His eyes, fixed on the manhole grate, seemed to contain the whole mystery of the universe. Veterinarians were on standby, ready to intervene if the animal reacted unexpectedly to the opening of its object of devotion. Minutes before the fateful moment, a sepulchral silence fell over the crowd. It was as if time itself had suspended its march, holding its breath along with all humanity. The mayor, pale and visibly nervous, approached the manhole, flanked by a team of experts. His hands trembled slightly as he signaled for the operation to begin. With a metallic creak that seemed to echo for eternity, the manhole grate was slowly lifted. Cameras clicked frantically, flashes lit up the scene like lightning in a thunderstorm. The whole world watched, mesmerized, as the veil of mystery was finally lifted. And then, in an instant that would be forever etched in the collective memory of humanity, the contents of the manhole were revealed. What was seen at that moment defied all logic and expectation, leaving the crowd in a state of absolute shock. Screams of astonishment, crying, and even hysterical laughter echoed through the street. Reporters, momentarily speechless, struggled to describe the elusive. The Guardian, for the first time in months, moved from his position. His behavior in the following seconds left everyone even more perplexed, adding a new layer of mystery to an already incomprehensible enigma. Would the dog's reaction be the key to understanding everything, or just another piece in a cosmic puzzle? At that moment, it was clear to everyone present that the world would never be the same. What was discovered in that simple storm manhole had the power to rewrite history, challenge our understanding of reality, and possibly change the course of humanity's future. As the news spread with the speed of light, the entire planet seemed to hold its breath. What would come next? How would we deal with this monumental revelation? One thing was certain: the day the culvert opened would mark the beginning of a new era, a turning point in human history that would be remembered for generations. 6. Shock and surprise. The contents of the manhole defied all human comprehension. There in the bowels of the city lay a discovery so surreal, so beyond the bounds of imagination, that the first witnesses were paralyzed, unable to process what their eyes saw. The shock was palpable, a surge of energy that rippled through the crowd like an emotional tsunami. The first to regain speech were unable to form coherent sentences. They babbled rambling words, pointed frantically, their faces contorted into expressions that mixed wonder, terror, and incredulity. Some fell to their knees, seized by an overwhelming feeling that they were facing something truly transcendental. Scientists present at the scene went into a frenzy. Theories were formulated and discarded in a matter of seconds. Measuring equipment of all kinds was pointed at the manhole, its sensors picking up readings that defied the known laws of physics. A renowned physicist was heard muttering, "This changes everything, absolutely everything." Social networks exploded with wild speculations. Hashtags related to the event dominated global trending topics in a matter of minutes. Surreal memes spread like a digital virus, trying to capture the absurdity of the situation through humor. Governments around the world were entering emergency sessions, trying to assess the geopolitical implications of this unimaginable discovery. The Guardian, our faithful watchdog, surprised everyone with his reaction. His behavior, as unexpected as it is enigmatic, added a new layer of mystery to the already incomprehensible scenario. Animal behaviorists watched with their mouths open, unable to explain the dog's actions. Could he be the key to unlocking the true meaning of this discovery? As the hours passed, shockwaves continued to reverberate around the world. Religious leaders called for emergency congregations, struggling to reconcile their beliefs with this new reality. Philosophers declared the birth of a new era of human thought. Artists, inspired by the magnitude of the event, created works that attempted to capture the elusive, giving rise to a new artistic movement born out of shock and surprise. The implications of the discovery seemed to multiply exponentially by the minute. What impact would this have on science, in religion, in humanity's own perception of its place in the universe? The questions piled up, each deeper and more disturbing than the last. Conspiracy theories flourished like mushrooms after rain. Some claimed that it was all an elaborate government farce. Others insisted that we were witnessing the first stage of an alien invasion. The line between reality and fiction seemed increasingly blurred by the magnitude of what had been revealed. As the sun set on that fateful day, one thing was clear: the world had changed irrevocably. The contents of that simple storm drain had become a watershed in human history. Whatever the next chapter of this unbelievable saga, one thing was certain: nothing would be the same as before. Night fell over a sleepless global population, millions of minds spinning in a frantic attempt to comprehend the incomprehensible. The initial shock gave way to a myriad of emotions: fear, excitement, confusion, wonder, and hovering over all of this, a universal question echoed. What would happen now? 7. Unexpected rescue. The world watched, mesmerized, as a surreal scene unfolded before his eyes. From the interior of the manhole emerged not one, but an entire family of beings that defied any known classification. Creatures of ethereal, alien beauty, their fluid forms glowed with an inner light that pulsed in hypnotic rhythms. They were both familiar and completely strange, as if they were woven from humanity's own dreams. The Guardian, our faithful watchdog, was the first to react. With a howl that seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 secrets, he launched himself towards the creatures. But instead of the attack that many feared, what was seen was a meeting of mutual recognition, like old friends being reunited after a long separation. Scientists, paralyzed by the initial shock, now struggled to document every detail of this historic encounter. Equipment of all kinds was pointed at the scene, capturing data that promised to revolutionize entire fields of science, from biology to quantum physics. The creatures, seemingly fragile and disoriented, seemed to communicate through patterns of light that danced over their translucent skins. Linguists and cryptographers from around the world have been summoned in a frantic race to decipher this alien language. Every flicker of light, every ripple of your ethereal forms could hold the key to unimaginable cosmic secrets. The audience, kept at a safe distance by police barriers, alternated between screams of astonishment and reverential silence. Many fell to their knees, overcome by an overwhelming feeling that they were witnessing something truly divine. Others wept openly, their emotions overflowing at the magnitude of the moment. Rescuers, trained to handle every type of emergency except this one, moved with calculated caution. Doctors, veterinarians, and biologists worked side by side, improvising protocols for dealing with life forms that defied all current understanding. The slightest mistake could have catastrophic consequences not only for the creatures, but potentially for all of humanity. As the creatures were gently guided out of the manhole, an even more shocking revelation came to light. Among them, encased in a cocoon of pulsating light, was a human baby. The child, apparently unharmed and in a state of ecstasy, shone with the same inner light as the alien creatures. The mystery deepened, raising questions that shook the very foundations of our understanding of life and the universe. The Guardian, now clearly accepted by the creatures as one of their own, has taken on the role of unlikely mediator between the two worlds. Their demeanor, a mix of fierce protection and heartwarming kindness, provided crucial clues about how to interact with our new visitors. As the rescue operation unfolded, the world watched with a mixture of awe and hope. This was not only the discovery of the century, but possibly the most significant event in history. The encounter with these creatures promised not only unimaginable scientific advances, but also a profound reassessment of our place in the cosmos. As the sun set on that fateful day, one certainty hung in the air: the world would never be the same. The unexpected rescue of the culvert marked the beginning of a new era filled with exciting possibilities and unprecedented challenges. Humanity was about to embark on its greatest adventure, a journey into the unknown that promised to redefine the very meaning of being human. 8. History revealed. In the days following the rescue, an intricate tapestry of shocking truths began to unravel, each revelation more startling than the last. The creatures, now housed in a high-security facility, began to communicate through methods that challenged our conventional understanding of language. Scientists and linguists worked incessantly, decoding patterns of light and vibrations that contained information capable of rewriting books of history, science, and philosophy. The story that emerged was so fantastic that many initially refused to believe it, but the evidence was irrefutable. The creatures were not aliens from a distant planet, as many had speculated. They were, in fact, descendants of an ancient and advanced civilization that inhabited the Earth millions of years ago, a civilization that had reached levels of technology and understanding of the universe that made our most recent advances look like child's toys by comparison. The culvert, it turned out, was actually the entrance to a vast network of underground cities built as a refuge when this ancient civilization predicted an impending cosmic catastrophe. They had placed themselves in a state of stasis, waiting for the safe moment to resurface and reclaim their place on the surface. The human baby found with them was the key to everything. The result of a long-term genetic experiment, the child, represented an evolutionary bridge between ancient civilization and modern humanity. It was a living beacon designed to attract attention when the right moment came. The Guardian, our faithful dog, turned out to be much more than he appeared. Genetically engineered to serve as a sentinel and gatekeeper of the entrance, he carried in his DNA ancestral memories and the ability to communicate with both ancient and modern humans. As more details were revealed, the world entered a state of collective shock. It turned out that many of humanity's myths and legends were actually fragmented memories of this ancient civilization. The pyramids, Stonehenge, the Nazca Lines, all were pieces of a cosmic puzzle that we were only now beginning to understand. The most impactful revelation, however, was to come. The creatures explained that their awakening was not by chance. They had been awakened by alarming changes in the quantum structure of the planet, changes caused inadvertently by modern human activity. We were, unknowingly, on the verge of unleashing a catastrophe that could tear at the very fabric of reality. This news sent shockwaves through governments and institutions around the world. Global leaders were summoned to emergency meetings. The scientific community went into a frenzy of activity, working around the clock to understand and potentially reverse the damage we had unknowingly caused. Meanwhile, the world's population oscillated between paralyzing fear and dizzying excitement. Cults sprang up overnight, worshipping the creatures as returned gods. Others saw his presence as a sign of the apocalypse. The streets of cities around the world filled with protesters, some demanding immediate access to ancestral knowledge, others calling for the creatures' total isolation. As the dust began to settle, one thing became clear. We were on the threshold of a new era. The knowledge and technology offered by our newfound ancestors promised solutions to many of the problems that plagued humanity, from curing diseases to reversing climate change. But with this knowledge came overwhelming responsibility. Would we be able to wield this newfound power wisely? Or would we repeat the mistakes of the past, bringing us to the brink of destruction once again? As the world eagerly awaited the next chapter in this incredible saga, one thing was certain: the story, as we knew it, was over. A new narrative was being written, one that promised unimaginable challenges and endless possibilities. The future, once a mystery, now shone with the light of a million suns, inviting us to take the next step in our cosmic journey. 9. Unbreakable bonds. As the days turned into weeks, an even more startling revelation emerged from the depths of the mystery. The bond between the Guardian, the human baby, and the ancestral creatures was much deeper and more complex than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't just a chance connection or a cold genetic experiment. It was an intricate web of emotions, shared memories, and an intertwined fate that defied the very understanding of existence. Scientists, working tirelessly to decipher the light, patterns emitted by the creatures have made a shocking discovery. The Guardian's DNA not only contained ancestral memories, but also fragments of the ancient civilization's collective consciousness. Every bark, every look, every movement of the dog was, in fact, a complex communication transmitting millennia of wisdom and emotions. The baby, in turn, turned out to be much more than just an evolutionary bridge. He was a being of expanded consciousness, capable of accessing dimensions of reality beyond our comprehension. Their innocent smiles concealed visions of possible futures, and their occasional cry was not one of discomfort, but of a deep, cosmic empathy that spanned ages. Ancient creatures, far from being cold alien entities, demonstrated a capacity for love and compassion that made our own human emotions seem primitive. Her devotion to the baby and the Guardian was breathtaking, manifesting itself in bursts of light and color that left witnesses in tears of pure emotion. Psychologists and philosophers around the world have focused on this phenomenon, rewriting theories about consciousness, emotion, and the very fabric of reality. The idea that love and connection could transcend not just species but entire ages shook the foundations of scientific and spiritual thought. The public, initially torn between fear and fascination, began to be won over by this extraordinary display of interspecies affection. Images of the Guardian gently playing with the baby as the creatures wrapped them in a hug of pulsating light went viral, touching hearts around the globe. Artists of all media were inspired by this unlikely union, creating works that captured the essence of these unbreakable bonds. Musicians composed symphonies based on the light patterns of creatures. Painters tried to capture on canvas the depth of the Guardian's gaze, and poets wove verses that spoke of a love that transcended time and space. But with this beauty also came a deep melancholy. The creatures, through their complex communication, revealed that their existence on our plane was limited. The process of awakening from his long sleep had started a countdown. They had a mission to accomplish, to share their knowledge, warn of impending dangers, and prepare the way for a new era. But their time with us was finite. This revelation brought a palpable urgency to every interaction. Scientists worked frantically to absorb every shred of knowledge. World leaders met in marathon sessions, trying to process the far-reaching implications. And the audience, now deeply emotionally invested, demanded that every moment with these extraordinary creatures be cherished and preserved. The Guardian, sensing the gravity of the situation, took on an even more prominent role. His behavior changed subtly, as if he were preparing for a monumental responsibility. The baby, in turn, began to manifest abilities that defied all logic, as if it were rapidly developing toward a greater purpose. As the world looked on, amazed and apprehensive, it became clear that these unbreakable bonds between species, between past and present, between the known and the inconceivable, would hold the key to humanity's future. Love, in its purest and most transcendent form, emerged as the most powerful force in the universe, a force capable of uniting worlds, healing millennia-old wounds, and perhaps saving existence itself. 10. United community. The phenomenon that began on a small suburban street has now spread like a spiritual wildfire, engulfing the globe in an unprecedented wave of togetherness. Humanity, often divided by borders, ideologies, and conflicts, was faced with a catalyst for change so powerful that old rivalries seemed insignificant in comparison. Cities around the world have transformed overnight. Squares and parks were filled with people from all backgrounds, gathered in spontaneous vigils. Lighted candles formed oceans of light, echoing the luminous patterns of ancient creatures. The sound of chanting, prayer, and collective meditation filled the air, creating a global symphony of hope and unity. Social networks, once the scene of disputes and divisions, have become a vibrant forum for international cooperation. Hashtags, like Unidos pelo Guardião and Luz Ancestral, dominated the trends, with millions sharing their experiences, insights, and pledges for personal change. Language barriers disappeared as volunteer translators worked tirelessly to ensure that each message of unity was understood globally. Religious leaders of all faiths, in an unprecedented move, issued a joint statement recognizing the deep spirituality of the event. Mosques, churches, synagogues, and temples opened their doors to each other, holding interfaith ceremonies that celebrated unity in diversity. Ancient scriptures were reinterpreted in light of new revelations, finding surprising parallels with newfound ancient wisdom. The scientific world has experienced a collaborative revolution. Labs that once competed fiercely now shared data freely. 24-hour virtual conferences connected brilliant minds from all corners of the planet, working in unison to decipher the cosmic secrets offered by the creatures. The speed of scientific progress was breathtaking, with discoveries that would normally take decades to be made in a matter of days. Governments, pressured by a unified public opinion as never before, began to implement radical changes. Peace treaties were signed, nuclear disarmament programs accelerated, and massive funds redirected from military expenditures to scientific research and social welfare. The UN convened a permanent special assembly, working tirelessly to create a new paradigm of global governance based on the principles of unity and cooperation learned from ancient creatures. The arts have flourished with a global cultural renaissance. Musicians from different traditions collaborated on symphonies that blended earthly sounds with the ethereal harmonies inspired by the creatures. Painters and sculptors created monumental works in public spaces, transforming entire cities into living galleries that celebrated our new cosmic understanding. Perhaps most striking was the change in everyday interactions. Strangers on the streets exchanged smiles and gestures of recognition, united by a shared sense of wonder and purpose. Acts of random kindness multiplied exponentially, with people actively seeking ways to help each other, inspired by the unconditional love shown by the Guardian and the creatures. Educators around the world have redesigned curricula to incorporate the lessons of unity and expanded consciousness. Children learned about cosmic interconnectedness alongside math and literature, preparing for a future that promised challenges and opportunities beyond imagination. As this wave of unity swept the globe, it became clear that we were witnessing more than just a reaction to an extraordinary event. It was the birth of a new era for humanity, one in which the barriers between us, whether national, cultural, or personal, dissolved in the face of a deeper understanding of our fundamental connectedness. The world watched in wonder as this close-knit global community grew stronger day by day. It was as if humanity, guided by the example of the Guardian, the baby, and the ancestral creatures, was finally awakening to its true potential. United, we faced not only the immediate challenges presented by our new circumstances, but also the promise of a future beyond our wildest dreams. And so what began with a dog staring blankly into a storm manhole turned into the catalyst for the greatest revolution in human history, a revolution of togetherness, understanding, and unconditional love that promised to shape the destiny not only of our planet, but perhaps of the cosmos itself.